Oh, fuck off. All right, we're up on YouTube. I just found it. Wonder where I was pulling all that sand from. Is it right here? Maybe. Right here? Hey, Danny's on stream. Hey, Danny. We're streaming again, and we're supposed to be doing a podcast with just Fast and I, and we're having
And I'm
audio
here.
issues.
I'm here.
Danny's in our chat.
Hi, Danny. It's a long time no hear and or see
Words, right?
words. Well, I went to someone else's Twitch stream and their audio was coming in clearly, so I'm not
Okay.
sure what was
Well,
going on there.
we are on YouTube, and
The two cubes.
Danny is saying that she hears you already.
Oh, perfect. Well,
Yeah.
then we don't have to worry about nothing
Yeah.
else.
How do we sound, Danny? What does our voice sound like? How's the stream? Because I'm currently not on a wired connection. I can't do that for a little bit. Boop. She says you two sound good. Alrighty.
All right, all right, all right.
Man, the gang is back together, minus Arcadius, who's off being an adult.
Okay. Oh, see there, I can hear
Oh
us. All right.
wow, yeah.
Muting. Muting. See, none of that was coming out on Twitch. Whatever, Twitch. Whatever.
Yeah. Oh, Twitch. So, we're doing a podcast, a duo podcast. Vast Empires and me, Scorch, here on our YouTube channel. And it's been a long time, and there are a lot of things going on in the video game world. And we thought we'd do one here because it has been a very long time. And we really need to be more on the ball about it. So we have a huge laundry list of things to talk about. Vast bombarded me with a very long email, a dissertation of an email for what to talk about. So I think I am going to let her pick the first thing. So take it away.
Well, I am glad that you are allowing me to open up this amazing list of topics in list format
Oh,
with
yeah.
links. To start us off on this reinvigoration of our channel and our podcast series. And so I'm going to start with the big news, the confirmation. And let's talk a little bit about Sony and the PS5.
Okay. I had, quite frankly, I had a little bit of a conversation with Danny about the PS5, and we didn't really know a whole lot about it because they didn't say a whole lot. But what they did say about the controller having more haptic feedback, uh, really made me happy and really made Danny unhappy about it all.
So, just as a quick recap, the PS5 was announced to be launching next year, holiday 2020.
Hmm.
And like you said, there's not a lot of information about the things that gamers care about. You know, we don't have any of the um, specs for it. They did talk about the controller, but I'm really curious, Danny. Are you gonna is it like the sensation of the Rumble technology, or what makes you unhappy with Sony going towards a haptic feedback for their new controller?
I know that Xbox and Microsoft did that with their Xbox One controllers, and their Xbox controllers are really supposed to be a cut above PlayStation controllers. So I'm really happy that they're stepping up with all of that.
It's very simple. Danny says, "Hating, I hate Rumble at anything." So
Yeah, she's telling me she even disables it on her phones and stuff, which I never have my phone on ring or anything, so not having a vibration feature would make me essentially deaf.
I go back and forth, to be honest, but I rarely have people call me. So every time my phone does ring, I'm one surprised, or two, it's just like, "Hey, it's my mom." So
Yeah, yeah. Nobody important ever calls you. Never. Or me either.
mm-mm.
Like, no. But anyway, we're talking about video games, not cell phones.
Yes. So
Uh,
someone who should call us is Sony, because as announcements go, this was a little underwhelming. Um, but I'm pretty sure in my opinion, it's probably like the start of their launch detail release information. And if is Sony still having their yearly event
um,
in the late fall? Don't they usually have one around fall, Christmas time?
like the whole PlayStation experience thing?
Yes, thank you, PlayStation Experience.
Um, I don't think so. I mean, I think they ditched that format for um like a more like a PlayStation Direct kind of in the same vein as Nintendo Direct, where they have like 20 minutes worth of whatever kind of material they've got. Um, I haven't seen anything about that at all.
Oh, isn't it their state? Isn't it? Wow, you can tell we haven't done this in a while. Isn't it their state of play?
Yeah, that's what it's called. Goddamn.
Yeah, we're going to get back on it. This is why we have to go in slowly, two stacking it
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
podcast. Um, there was something else that happened. Yeah, this is older news, but it happened a lot earlier in the year, where Sony announced that their current president was going to be stepping into the deputy role, and their deputy president was going to step into the CEO role.
Yeah. I find that kind of weird. Um, I don't know if they decided to do that in response to shifting a paradigm with what they're going to do with the PlayStation 5, like if they're gearing up for something that's a little bit different. What I do know is that their new president is going to be pushing their PlayStation Now service a lot more. I think he's a lot more invested in that. And the last time I heard anything about PlayStation Now, it's that they had less than 1 million subscribers on their platform. So
Mm.
I don't know how well that's gonna work out, bro.
Well, it's with all of the different subscription services that are required by society to access content. PlayStation Now, in my opinion, is certainly one that's going to fall to the wayside unless they found some kind of way to tie it into your PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, like I know that their PlayStation Now service was recently priced half of what they used to price it as. They
I
reduced
think
the
it
price
was.
by half,
I feel like it used to be priced at like $9.99 a month.
and now it's like $4.99.
Okay, well, that makes it more attractive when you're talking to a consumer who more than likely already has a Netflix account. More than likely, at least in North America, more than likely has at least one Amazon Prime subscription in their household. Um, Maybe has Hulu. Will probably be signing up for the new Disney Plus service.
Oh God.
Um,
Oh
eh,
God.
has cable and whatever additional cable offering packages that they have. PlayStation Now is, in my opinion, would be much lower on the list.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Especially when we're looking to the future more as gamers now than ever. Um, I know that there are a whole bunch of people that want like backwards compatibility and all of that, but honestly, how often do you play older games? And now that they're all getting like re-releases and res updates and stuff like that, what is the point?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I was about to say, hey, I actually just re-downloaded Zone of the Enders, the second runner, and I've been playing that a little bit. Mainly because I had one of those days where PlayStation wouldn't let me. The PlayStation Network wasn't down, but it was down for me for some reason.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but I'm completely with you on that with the re-releases, with the remasters. Um, Going, it doesn't make sense to on a new console go back and play an old game when they were more than likely re-release that game
Yeah.
with better graphics. However, I do understand that desire because no one is ever going to remaster Xenogears, and I want them to. It is
Write a
one of the
letter.
best JRPGs ever in the world. And the only way you can play it is, um, either if you still have a PlayStation and a disc, or if you caught it on like PS3 when they released it.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're just gonna have to think that some games are just gonna fall by the wayside.
Yeah,
Unfortunately. Unless you have like
unfortunately.
a retro console to play it on, which chances are you might if you've been on the ecosystem long enough. I know that I have a Generation 1 PlayStation 3 that can play any PlayStation game up to that point. So,
Yeah.
you know,
What? I'm just saying, Final Fantasy VIII got a remaster, but Xenogears? Come on. And I like Squall, but come on. Anyway, going to a little bit more of the Sony news. In the wake of their announcement of the PS5, there was also some um, sad news, bad news. Sony laid off a very sizable portion of their European um, sales and marketing and communications divisions in the wake of their announcement. Um, so it was reported that the company had seen actually a 5% growth in the European market, um, which meant they actually expanded their profit size or their market share, or whatever metric that they were using, and so that the layoffs weren't necessarily something to pad their bottom line, but they chose as a company to let these people go anyway.
yeah. Like Vass said, it was mostly in the European zone where they had all of that, and um, I'm not entirely sure why they did that, other than them preparing to just pull out of making anything in Europe. One of the things that was brought up by people like like Machinima and stuff like that is that the first party titles that are being developed right now for the PlayStation ecosystem are all headed in California. Like
Mm.
God of War, Studio Santa Monica. The people that are making Ghost of Tsushima are out in California. Like Naughty Dog, stuff like that. They're all based in California, and the um, the really the creators of anything in Europe are, albeit strong, third-party titles. Like you've got a lot of Ubisoft is based in France. Arcane is based in France. Stuff like that. So I'm
Hmm.
wondering if they're just going to leave the third party to do their thing in Europe and center, like have more of a hub of first-party titles in the United States.
I guess the thing that struck me about this is that that as a company, Sony is about to launch into their launch like year. So there is a lot of marketing involved in rolling out a new product, and um, there's a lot of work involved in customizing your marketing materials for each market. And so when I see them like scaling back, to me, it's like they are um, working towards a model where like maybe the U.S. and Europe can share that same like marketing um, marketing workforce.
Okay. All right. So they're just letting like Google Translate take care of all of their like
I mean, that's the
systems and
only
stuff. Like,
maybe like maybe they have their translators still there, but the European workshop won't be the ones who are like conducting a Europe only version of a PlayStation rollout. It'll be I don't know. I have very little. Totally not speaking from like any enlightened view. This is just what I'm thinking.
yeah.
But like say your New York office does all of the work. They have all of the art team. They have all of the contractors. They have all of the writers. And they create the entire thing from beginning to end. That would normally just be the North American version of the Sony rollout. Well, now that information is going to be duplicated and used for Europe instead. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Which is kind of odd for me at least because I've always been told that the way things are marketed and deployed overseas are very different from the way things are marketed and deployed in North America. And
Me too.
I don't know why you would abandon that front when it is so different. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I don't
No,
know.
I'm there with you. But this isn't the only cost cutting measure that Sony has made over the past few years. They pulled out of E3. They have reduced or completely eliminated their PlayStation Experience in favor of the State of Play. In the same way, like you mentioned before, that Nintendo has their Nintendo Direct to do more. Um, direct information transference or from themselves directly to their player base. And so, there's a lot of money that goes into creating these, going to conferences or conventions and developing materials for that kind of stuff. So I can see it as being an extraneous cost. Um,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like it's also still good marketing to be there. So,
Yeah,
but what do I
eh,
know?
I don't get it. But I don't call it I don't make the shots there. So,
No, sadly.
yeah.
But if you want to call me, Sony, and get some more unsolicited and uninformed advice about your marketing plans, you know where to find us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm I'm kind of worried about all of that. The way that they're doing things makes me think that that company is not as healthy as I would hope because they're doing a ton of cost cutting, and I don't know why they would, considering how like profitable things have been recently, unless they're just like squirreling away funds for a rainy day.
And so I can see them squirreling away funds for a rainy day. I could also see them um, wanting to control costs because whatever future budgets that they have planned are comparatively tremendous to what they have right now um, in the years where the console is in decline
Yeah.
in terms of the life cycle, not necessarily in decline in terms of sales, because I believe the PlayStation 4 is poised to exceed 1 million copies this year.
The
1 million
PlayStation,
copies sold.
you mean 100 million, right?
Did I say what? I mean 100
You said a
million.
million.
No, 100 million.
Been a while,
Excuse me.
folks. It's been a
It's
while.
been a while, but they're about to cross that milestone, which is huge.
Yeah.
Um, and so maybe they're thinking, okay, we can cut back on some of these things because we can cut back on marketing because everybody knows what the PlayStation 4 is at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
You know,
the
another
games that are
thing I just thought of, I'm sorry to cut you off,
no,
is
please.
that usually when you launch a new set of hardware, especially one that is going to be so like technology driven like a gaming console is, and with their lofty goals, they're surely not going to be met with first iteration of consoles. 'Cause they're talking about like 8K capability stuff with their console, and I am very hesitant about that. But anyway, when you roll out new technology, usually operate that at a loss, hoping that software is going to break even for you. And I'm wondering
Mm.
if they're anticipating that in the future.
Yeah, because if you think about what was the launch price of the PlayStation, was it $6.99 or was it $7.99?
Oh, the
Let me look it up.
PlayStation
The,
4 I think was like $4.99. It was $100 less than an
no.
Xbox because they cut the PlayStation camera right at the last second in order to beat the price point of the Xbox One.
Oh, you're right. It was $399.99.
There we go.
That was the introductory price. I don't know why I was thinking that it was like
The PlayStation 3
five.
was because at
Uh,
that time the Blu-ray drive was so expensive to like make and put into their consoles.
okay. So maybe we're looking at maybe we're anticipating a console that is for Xbox Scarlet and for the PS5. Maybe we're looking for something that is priced above that price point.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, with the things that they're talking about them wanting to actually do with that console, I would not put it past them. It seems like they might be pushing forward into more of a boutique-y kind of feel with how they're going to make things. It's like, oh, it's all handmade 8K textures. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, it sounds like Scorch. We need a sound effects bar. It sounds like we've entered the speculation zone because we are
Yeah.
speculating about the PS5, and so I'm going to loft you a softball question, but one that I'm actually really curious about. I'm going to toss it to Danny too, if she's still here and listening. Um, what would be your top, let's say, 3 launch titles? No, your top 5 launch titles for the PS5.
5 launch titles? Oh my God. Oh,
For the PS5, come on, it's in the
dang.
name
That is
now.
so much. And I've turned my back on so many titles over the last couple of years. I don't know where to go with that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Battlefield is out. Um,
Ooh,
oh my gosh. Just like any Bungie title is out.
ouch,
Uh, the BioWare title is out, though I think
ouch.
they might push a Dragon Age game out in that window, maybe. Um, Yeah, I don't know. What I would be more looking forward to would be like a cross-gen port of late release games like Death Stranding to a
Mm.
place Cyberpunk, which will definitely eat up all of the juice that you can give it. Um, yeah, it's stuff like that. I don't, oh man. Oh, that hurts me to say.
Well, I'm gonna check the chat real quick. I think that I would like two very special throwback games. I doubt we'll see them because the state of play has changed so much since these games were launched, and they are
Mm,
much more uh, family friendly experiences, which PlayStation provides, but like it's not the go-to console for that anymore. It's not really competing with Nintendo for that anymore.
yeah.
Um, but I would really love to see a new Ratchet and Clank game. So that's my number
Oh,
one.
wow.
A new Sly Cooper game. That's my number two. So those are my two launch titles. Third, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, New Horizons.
Horizon Zero Midday or whatever.
Yes. Horizon High Noon, if you will. Um,
McCree skins bought separately.
yes. We as a collective were enamored with that game. And rightly so. We thought it was like the bee's knees, and I think it topped all of our lists, or the majority of our list for Game of the Year when it launched. Um,
Overwatch?
no. Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay.
So I really enjoyed the gameplay. I really enjoyed the story. They had a really cool ending because I was invested in their story that really hooked me, and I really want to see where they're going to take that narrative going forward. So
Oh, it
to
was
me, that
so
is
good,
like,
wasn't it? Oh,
yeah, it really was. So that's a launch title to me.
yeah.
Um,
Danny has her list in chat. It's Last of Us 2, Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima, Cyberpunk 2077, and some Assassin's Creed. She'd also like to see
ooh.
some Persona in there.
I would like to see from anybody, but especially PlayStation, to have a really strong JRPG within their launch like window.
Yeah. It would
So
have to
yeah,
be something from an older generation, though, because if you worked on a JRPG specifically for Japan, it would take time to actually localize the voices and all of the text and stuff for the United States. So if you worked on a JRPG title with localization in tandem, it could work, but I'm not entirely sure that that could work out. Like, you might have a window, like a launch window title for that, but
and I would be okay with that if the launch window was well. First of all, who knows how long exactly dev kits for the PS5 have been out rather. Um, However, if the launch window was like the first 6 months or 6 to 9 months, I would be okay with waiting for that title, um, whatever it may be.
yeah.
Even if it, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but even if it's just a Tales game, and I say just a Tales game, even though I really enjoy all of them and their formula and their game, like I really enjoy playing them. But I do also recognize that overall they are formulaic and not a new IP, so they're in that space they're a little bit easier than a completely new IP.
Hmm.
Um, but I want a RPG, a JRPG at launch.
That's fair. Danny says they usually take 6 months to a year. I imagine she's talking about localization. Yeah, I can see that. Two,
Yep.
three.
And that would be okay. I would be okay with that.
Yeah. Um, man. But when you brought up, well, when I brought up Overwatch, because I made that stupid fucking McCree reference. A thing that immediately popped into my head was that there are some rumors circulating, and we can certainly dive off of this into the whatever is going on at Blizzard.
Oh
But
yeah, which we are about to.
oh yeah, but there are some rumors circulating of an Overwatch 2 right now.
Yes, there are several there are two very important sources about the Overwatch 2 rumor. One of them is Jason Schreier at Kotaku. I hope I said his last name
The
correctly.
writer? Yeah.
Yes. Who reported that the Overwatch 2 would be a PvE and PvP based game, with the PvE being something similar to a Left 4 Dead scenario. And players of Overwatch would be kind of familiar with this because for the past 3 years during the anniversary event of the game, during the archives event of the game, they released PvE modes where a team of 4 players would go out and fight against AI components, and they used it to very subtly progress either past lore or introduce new characters or ideas into the game. And so, if that's true, it could it could very well be taking Overwatch towards the direction that it was originally conceived.
Yeah.
Which I think would be interesting.
Danny says she's leaving now. Night, Danny. I know
Good night,
it's
Danny. It was
really
good talking to
late
you.
in Japan. Have a good night. Oh man. I really don't know if I'm going to pick up a possible Overwatch 2. I don't. Not only because of what they're doing with all of the political wrangling right now with Hong Kong and China, but that I just had an overwhelmingly bad experience with Overwatch when I played it. So, I don't know. That title doesn't really ring any, yeah, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine. As someone who enjoys Overwatch but hasn't actually touched it in a couple of weeks, for various reasons, including what WTF Blizzard? What are you Activision Blizzard? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Human rights are something that should be, human rights violations should be made aware. People should be aware of them.
So do we want to talk about that a little bit with what is Blizzard doing?
Yes, let's. And I will let you do the short recap.
Okay, so by now anybody that has an internet connection is aware of all of the protests that are going on in Hong Kong. They do not want to be absorbed by mainland China, and the local Hong Kong government is acting in a way that is infringing upon the usual rights of Hong Kong citizens and focusing it more towards the way communist government China is working. And there have been protests for a very long time and all of that about all of this, but recently, and I say recently, it was probably within the last 3 weeks, month?
I think
maybe?
3 weeks.
Yeah. A pro Hearthstone player, which is a Blizzard IP, made remarks that were pro Hong Kong, and Blizzard decided that they would ban this player, Blitzchung, for a year and revoke his latest prize money of $10,000. Now, this really, really did not settle well with let's face it, all of the community, and it even drew eyes from outside of the video gaming and esports world to talk about rights and free speech as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And after a little while, Blizzard came out and said that they are no longer going with that with their original punishment for Blitzchung. What they were doing was they were going to return his prize money and only set his ban to 6 months. That's still not good. I don't think Blitzchung should have been punished at all for his political view. I think, and we don't really get political in this channel, but one thing I can tell you is that I am not for censorship at all, and this really makes me quite angry with how they handled all of this.
Mm-hmm. I think it was also very telling that all of Blizzard's official statements in the immediate aftermath. I'm talking like immediate aftermath, especially from their Asian team or their Chinese team, were like the speech that came out from like the Twitter and from like the official statement just very much read to me as reactionary, controlled statements that did not come from immediate Blizzard.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And so it just is like, we don't get political on this channel, but basically I could see a lot of influence and foreign money in the statements that were made in the immediate aftermath. And then afterwards, once it actually hit the realm of like Activision Blizzard proper, then you could see like statements that were made that were more I would even say measured. I would say wrong, but measured.
Yeah.
So it was just one of those things where you just sit there. It's like, are people going to be, are companies going to be more wary of where they're getting their money from? Because companies like Tencent have a lot of money in a lot of different video game studios right now.
So I did look up how much of a share Tencent owns in Activision Blizzard, and it's only a 4.9% market share. And
Still a lot.
it's a lot, but it's only 5% for a multi-billion-dollar company.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't hold, that's not like a large enough holding for Tencent to make any kind of like demand on their own. What the worry was with all of that is that overwhelmingly all of Tencent's dealings and business ties are directly related to China and the Chinese government. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that the Chinese government often does is block, what do you call it? Block influences out of their country.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chinese market is a gigantic market for gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is what they were worried about. I think they overstepped it, and they're really going to have to think about how they're going to meter their words in the future and which way they're going to turn when this kind of influence happens again, because it's not going away. If anything, it's going to be more explosive and more important in the future. And I hope that they are ready for all of that protesting that's going to go on at BlizzCon this year.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because my response is probably going to be no, they're not. We do know that protests are scheduled to occur during this year's BlizzCon, which is coming up in the next 2 weeks. I believe it's the first weekend in November.
Oh, something like that.
Something like that. It's around that time period. It's the beginning of November, and there's been a lot of online activity, and I don't think this is going to be an Area 51 type deal. I do think...
Where there was one Naruto runner behind one cameraman. Yeah.
Yes. People didn't want to get shot, but that's another story that we did not cover.
No.
No, sadly, we missed that one too, guys. We're coming back to you, though. We're coming back to you.
Yeah.
But I do think there will be a good presence of protesters. I'm not one to put like a number out there, but there's going to be people out there protesting. There's going to be some May cosplay with some protesters, and
oh yeah,
it's going to be very interesting, and again, not to be too political, but also really cool to see people exercising their rights to bring awareness and attention to the plight of others.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man. Oh man. They even have some announcements that I would be kind of interested in, if not for the fact that they were, palling it up with China right now. Like they're talking about some Diablo announcements and stuff like that, which I am now completely tuned out of because of the way that they handled all of it.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because Blizzard tripped, stumbled, and fell on their way to the finish line, and Riot said, "Hold on, guys. I got your back." So Riot, to transition to another humongous studio, Riot Games celebrated their 10-year anniversary. We all know that Riot is the developer behind, or the studio behind, the League of Legends franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And during their 10-year anniversary presentation or cast, they announced a gazillion new launch titles or new IPs that they're going to bring to you, which they had already planned, but in all honesty seemed like a huge middle finger to Blizzard.
Yeah, pretty much. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Mm-hmm. So do we want to get into the different things that they have announced?
Well, right now, what I know that they announced is they are pushing League of Legends out to consoles and phones. Turns out they actually do have phones. They are working on a fighting game with League of Legends characters in mind. They are rolling out a card game, a digital card game with League of Legends characters in mind. And they are also working on a shooter, a tactical high-stakes shooter. So I think that's going to end up more like Counter-Strike or Rainbow Six, the way that Rainbow Six is doing things.
Yeah. You missed one.
I did? Are you talking about Arcane?
No, my friend.
I'm so psyched about. I'm gonna watch the hell out of that.
All right, before we get to the actual cool thing, I'm gonna. They also talked about expanding their. Oh gosh, what do they call this? Oh, I'm losing it. It's not League of Legends. It's another game type within the League of Legends universe that's kind of like a 5-man assault.
Kind of like PvE-ish.
Yeah, well, no, it's PvP, but it's like five characters on a small board.
Like
yeah, it's something like that. And team fight tactics.
Yeah, that's there we go. Called.
Team fight tactics. So they're making changes to team fight tactics to make it bigger, better, more accessible, get more people in there. And they're also releasing a management sim. Not just a management sim.
Because it's still 1998 and people still love baseball.
It is a esports management game
Huh.
brought to you by League of Legends, the sponsor of one of the biggest esport like games.
Yeah.
I would
I don't know. I don't know how to deal with that.
When
Yeah.
I read that, I laughed so hard, and it made me think. I probably never talked to you about the Japanese Tourism Board, but it made me think about all of the anime that I really enjoyed, which were like slice of life or uh, anime that forwards like parts of Japanese culture that you don't see very often,
Mm-hmm.
like really niche things. And I said that were honestly beautifully done. Um, I'm thinking of like there was one anime where like four middle school girls learned about camping. There's that
I
one.
remember that one.
There's this one anime that this one guy could see microbes, and you learned about like different food processes, like um, not distilling,
Fermentation.
what, yeah, fermentation and stuff like that. I can't remember the name of it. Like, but those type of things. And I always used to say that they were brought to us by the Japanese Tourism Board. This management sim is brought to you by like Riot's insane need to create more people who understand how to manage esport teams, so they can continue to spread and dominate in the world. That's
Yeah.
all this is.
Yeah. I can see that
It's like
happening. Definitely.
it is like every sci-fi film that, or like Ender's Game, where you learn how to quote unquote play games, and they were really
Slingshot
taking
around the planet.
and they're actually taking those outcomes and using them in the real world. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if we find out that Riot is data mining all of your like management styles.
Oh,
So
man.
they can continue to invest and profit off of their esports.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing to me. I
Or
hope that it
straight
does
up
well for
scout
people who
people
like
that are
it.
doing that.
Oh yeah, it's like a Starfighter. Is it Starfighter? Was that the game where someone was playing an arcade game and aliens came and picked him up because beat he beat the game or something like that? Anyway,
All right.
anyway, but the thing that excited me the most, because MOBAs aren't necessarily my jam, and while I really do love the character design and characters that come with League of Legends, it's not something that actually like pulled me in. That Arcane animated series announcement,
Oh,
that
yeah.
got me.
It
That
looks
looked
really
amazing.
nice. It looked like they went for the same kind of art style as like a comic book and Dishonored kind of fusion thing that they got
Yeah.
going on. And
Hmm.
I am all for it. And from the very early animation that we're seeing, it seems like Jinx might be the bad guy. And I am all for that because, man, can't get enough Jinx, even though I don't play League of Legends.
I was about to say I have no clue who that is, but that's cool. And I will be there to watch it. It also seemed like, just excuse me, from the announcement trailer, that they are doing this game, or excuse me, this animated series in house, which I think is
Yeah.
amazing. I think that's amazing.
I mean, with the way that the explosion of like in-house animation of like Blizzard and their Overwatch characters when they announce something or like have a little lore dump in one of their mini videos that they put out, I think that that Riot Games looked at that and was like, we can do that, only we're gonna make a fucking series about it, because we're fucking Riot Games and we're insane people. So that's where they're going with it. And I'm so for it. I'm so for it. I'm not gonna be playing League of Legends. I played that for like a week in like early college, and one thing I knew about League of Legends was that when you started and when you continued to play, it didn't matter like how long you played it, people are still going to be angry at you and you're not going to have a good time unless you win. And that rang true, and I put it down and never
Yep.
picked it back up again.
Well, I just think it's really cool that Riot is announcing all of these different games for us to play, that they're keeping it in whole, encircled within their studio, and more power to them. I wish them success. If they give me more animation like that, all the success in the world, guys. I'll be there for you.
Absolutely.
And that was a really clumsy attempt to segue from a ring to another ring.
Oh, that was bad. Oh.
Yes,
We're going to have
That's
to
why
delete this podcast, just because of that. I cannot condone such language.
I had to explain it too. That's how bad it was. I was like, wow, this is a reach and a half. So I got to let people know that I'm not on top of my game right now. But that's okay because Nintendo that's right, Nintendo unleashed their Ring Fitness Adventures this week. And they are continuing their path to get people fit.
Let me ask you something fast.
That's right.
Did you really buy that thing? Is it
Heck
really
yeah,
in the mail? You did? Why?
I did.
Why?
I just wanted to try it out. I wanted to try it out, and I still have a job, and I don't have a lot of money, but if something happens between now and then, the end of the year, at least I'll have something to keep me occupied.
So what is the price point on this Nintendo Ring, and can you explain what it is, what it does, right quick?
The price point for the Nintendo Ring, the fitness, the additional fitness like strap, I don't know what it's exactly called, but there is a leg strap that comes component to it, and the video game Ring Fit Adventures was $79.99.
Oh my god.
On Amazon. Mm-hmm.
Why is it so expensive?
Well, in all honesty...
Wait, hold on. Did you get the game and the ring with it?
Yeah, it all comes together.
Okay.
It all comes together. So it is a package.
I thought it was just the game that was like $80.
No. It's a package, and I think it's a similar... I think it might actually be... I hope that it's less of a lesser price point than when the Wii Fit board came out.
Yeah.
I feel like that one was over $100. Let me check real quick.
I don't know why you bought that thing, Vass. I really don't. I don't understand.
I'm about to tell you.
I don't get it.
I think the board by itself. Oh no, the Wii Fit board was $90.
Oh, okay.
So Wii Fit and the board, the Wii Fit game and the board was probably like $119.99 or something like that.
Okay.
So, and rightfully, like, this should be less because what essentially you're getting is a video game, an action-adventure video game that pairs your movement to the actions of the character on the screen, and that movement is monitored by the leg strap that you put on your leg, and then the refit ring. And the refit ring is essentially a Pilates ring. I keep on saying a Wii Fit. It's a Switch, y'all. It's a Switch.
Been a while.
It's been a while. But the fitness ring is a Pilates ring, and so it has just enough resistance in it to give your muscles a workout with the repetitive motions. And from what I understood of like one of the earlier videos, there'll be like 3 or 4 movement sets in the game. There'll be like a yoga poses, like calisthenics, and something else. I don't know. Maybe core exercises. Maybe it's core exercises. And with the corresponding color, and when that color and that movement appears, you'll have to do that action, and that's how you'll fight your battles. That's how you'll move across the board, and it looks interesting and fun. And I didn't have a Wii. We did have a Wii, but that was back in the time when my brother and I overlapped in school, and we would come home on holidays and switch. But one year we didn't switch, and so I had the Wii for like 2.5 years. I had the PlayStation 3 for 2.5 years, and he had the Wii, and so I never got a chance to experience like the Wii Fit craze.
Alrighty then.
So I will let you know if my buns get burning.
Yeah, please do.
From doing the exercises, but it does look fun. It does look cute, and I do support Nintendo's initiative of making us lazy ass gamers live long enough to buy their next product.
I think that's just a stereotype at this point, right? Like
it is.
Most people play video games now, right? Are we to that point yet? Need to be.
But here's the thing. I don't necessarily refer to puzzle games as video games, even though they're in video game format.
Puzzle games
to me, like Words with Friends, Sudoku.
Oh yeah, no, that doesn't count.
I don't count those. I know some people do because you are playing them like on, like a mobile phone, which is now essentially a video game platform.
Yeah.
But no, I just you just play Scrabble. It's the same thing.
Well, you know what I'm looking forward to is Outer Worlds. It's coming out on the 25th.
It's coming.
In case you've been living under a rock, Outer Worlds is a game made by Obsidian. They're the dudes that originally made Fallout and also did the first Knights of the Old Republic game. If you are into RPGs, then take a look at it. It's supposed to be somewhat of a spiritual successor to Fallout New Vegas, which is one of my all-time favorite games. I think I've completed that more than a dozen times. God, what to say about it? It is all about exploring the far-reaching spaces out in the universe in an alternate reality where mega corporations control everything because Teddy Roosevelt was never elected president and McKinley won his second term, meaning he let all of the corporations run wild, and that's how the rest of the world went as well. So look for like crazy, ridiculous corporate wars. Look for the Obsidian and New Vegas like dark style humor that I really can't get enough of. Look for some really cool guns, some companions that you can doink. It's gonna be great.
Well, it's a coming, and there are a couple of other games like big AAA releases that are on the horizon. I'll just go through them quickly, although I'm sure one of them is going to catch Scorch's attention. But the new Modern Warfare game is coming out on the 25th. Death Stranding is dropping on November 9th.
Yeah!
And Jedi Fallen Order is dropping on November 15th. And I have a question for Scorch. I know I asked you this like ages and ages ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll put it out there to anyone who makes it this far into our podcast, but I feel that the marketing for Death Stranding has been slim to non-existent. However, when I mentioned this to Scorch, he said, no, it's everywhere. It's everywhere that I go online. But I'm a gamer too. I do frequent my gaming Twitter. I go to the different gaming websites to check up on the news and to compile a huge list of things to talk about. And I Google Death Stranding. Well, that's not true. But I have not seen a concerted marketing effort. And so I was wondering if that is a symptom of the way that it's tailor content to see you. excuse me, tailor your view of content, and if that can harm like that.
I'm sure that that's possible, but I'm also going to have to preface all of that by saying that I follow people like Yukimi Nakamura on Twitter and Hideo Kojima, who are all over Death Stranding. Hideo Kojima being the director of the game and whatnot. He often pushes tweets from people like Mads Mikkelsen and Norman Reedus, who are both in the game, and I run across them quite a bit. Also, the Sony YouTube channel hosts everything that Death Stranding, uh, all the promotional material that it comes out. What with Death Stranding now being part of the first party lineup, also based in California. And it's just it's unavoidable. I can't not see it with how I've structured my media stream.
That's just so weird to me because I do go to YouTube a lot. I listen to a lot of different podcasts during the day, and a lot of those podcasts are all gaming inspired,
I think we
and so
lost the stream.
oh no.
Yeah, damn. Well, let me see if I can bring it back up.